It is a happy day here at RGT headquarters because don't worry, I have a lot of things to say about the Knicks. I'll say it at the end of the video because I have a lot of things to say about other things happening within the video game industry. I got 3 stories I want to cover today. I was going to make some individual videos, but I said, hey, I'm just going to make it all in one. So if you appreciate me not wasting your time, hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet, because that would be pretty cool. But let's talk about what is happening in the world of video games, because it's been a very interesting past 24 hours or so. Now, on the second channel, I talked about the Gears of War situation. So if you're wondering kind of what my thoughts were on that, I'll have a link in the description box down below where you can get my thoughts on Gears of War coming to PlayStation 5. But like I said, there's some other stuff I want to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about is something that I've talked about previously, and a lot of people didn't necessarily get where I was coming from with this, and there's still quite a bit of resistance towards it, and that is the Nintendo Switch 2 digital game cards, because there's a lot of people that absolutely hate these things. They're like, it's not true physical, blah, 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 this, that, or the other. And I've tried to make points about cartridge sizes. I've tried to make points about how companies would just skip the system if they had to put the game on the cartridge, because a cost of a cartridge is more expensive than something like a Blu-ray. But a lot of people didn't pick up on that. But one thing I did notice about the fact of digital game cartridges is that they seem to be a bit less than what we're seeing with the standard physical edition of games. Games like Street Fighter 6 Year 1 and 2 edition is $60 for the digital cartridge, whereas I feel like if that was on an actual cartridge, it would cost more. Of course, Bravely Default is $40 also on a digital cartridge. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut is $50 on a digital cartridge. So my kind of mentality is, yeah, like they could go the true physical route for those who really want it, but I feel like that would bump up the price potentially of these games. And we have yet another game that I have absolutely negative interest in, and none of you should really have interest in this game, but yet another game that has been confirmed for a digital cartridge that is coming in at a lower price point than the games that are not on a digital cartridge. And that is, of course, Star Wars Outlaws. Now, this is like the deluxe edition with all of the DLC and stuff like that. Obviously, Ubisoft was not going to put this on an actual cartridge because, I mean, it would just be way too big, I feel like. And honestly, Star Wars Outlaws, it's not a good game. Like, it's not because of K-Vest not being attractive to some people or something like that. It's just not a good game. It's not a fun game. It doesn't feel like a Star Wars game. It felt like it could have been a new IP that just had Star Wars slapped onto it. I did not have fun playing and beating this game, but I wanted to beat it for the video that I made on it. But Star Wars Outlaws, with all of the DLC, like the deluxe edition or whatever it's called, is coming in at $60 with a digital game cartridge. And I feel like that is yet another indicator of digital game cartridges may not being the optimal sort of thing, but at least you can sell that digital game cartridge. At least you can lend that digital game cartridge to someone, and at least those digital game cartridges seem to be, at least for now, a bit cheaper. Now, yes, there are games that are outliers, such as Madden that's coming out this year that is a $70 digital game cartridge, but it seems like for the most part, a lot of these ports that we're getting are coming in at lower price points, and I have to assume that the digital game cartridge has something to do with that. So, it's just a matter of, would you rather pay more and get raked over the coals? Because usually speaking, and you could say, well, RGT, these are older games, blah, blah, blah. So it makes sense for them to come in a lower price point. But we're talking about the launch of a new console, and these games being ported over to the console for the first time, not just, upgraded versions of games that already exist. That is prime picking for companies to maximize profits and charge the usual standard price of a game because, it's the first time it's been on this platform before. I'm just trying to say, keep an open mind towards this. But if you don't have an open mind, you can let me know in the comment section down below. Next on the docket, one of the bullet points, the title points of this video, Grand Theft Auto 6. Now, Grand Theft Auto 6, of course, was delayed until I think it's May 26th, 2026, or towards the end of May of next year, even though people swore to me up and down, RGT, it's coming out this year because they said that to shareholders. Yeah, idiots. Idiots. What ended up happening to the stock? It ended up tanking because the game was never going to come out this year. They said it to appease the shareholders, but there's always that caveat because it's not written in stone. We're planning for it to come out in 2025. Of course, that's our goal. That's our intention. You're not writing these things in stone. So I was completely right about that. So I'm, a little victory lap there. But with this game being delayed, we got a new trailer for the game this morning, showcasing off the different areas that you will be visiting. And I mean, the trailer's cool. I'm definitely looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6, and I'm going to have to chop up this trailer because Rockstar still lives in like 2010 YouTube where you can't show one of their trailers. One of the most ridiculous. Like, are you hurting that bad for money? But this trailer was obviously done for really like one main reason, and that was to appease the shareholders, because shareholders run the video game industry. People want to talk about tariffs and, limited stock, this, that, and the other. The reason that you have to combat all of this stuff is because of shareholders, because shareholders are one of the biggest problems with the video game industry, trying to appease these people that have nothing to do and no love for the industry. They're just viewing it as an investment. Whatever. I could go on about that for a long time. I think the graphical style of GTA 6 looks great. They're talking about the Bonnie and Clyde mechanic. The areas look really cool. But, like, where's the gameplay? Like, that's what I want to see. I want to see, how far we have progressed from the Grand Theft Auto style that we saw in 4 and 5 as far as character movement is concerned. Because really, when you honestly think about it, the character movement in every Grand Theft Auto since like 4 hasn't necessarily been like the best. There is that sort of little delay that Rockstar games have with games like Red Dead Redemption 2. That was kind of prevalent throughout, a bit of a disconnect. And you would feel like this being on the next gen or the current generation of hardware, the trailer was shown running on PlayStation 5. Like, that's what I'm really looking forward to. I think everyone's sold like on the setting. Everyone is sold on the game itself. And it's going to sell regardless of anything, like literally anything. They could make this Grand Theft Auto 6 Chapter 1 and people would buy it up. But I want to see some actual gameplay from this. I want to see character movement. I want to see how you're expanding upon this. Is this just, GTA 5 with different locales and prettier graphics, or is there more interactivity? Are there more indoor areas you could visit? Like True Crime Streets of New York had a million different areas you could visit inside, and that was a PS2 and GameCube game. Like, I would like to see the evolution of the franchise, but I do think the graphics from what they've shown look amazing. It definitely looks like a game that is pushing things. Do wonder about the frame rate and the performance of the game, but we'll find out in due time. This was a trailer to appease shareholders. Nothing more, probably nothing less. And the final topic I want to talk about. Got some exciting news, folks. Exciting news, because it appears that a big franchise and all of its entries, as far as this series is confirmed, is indeed all coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, we're going to be talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake, because Final Fantasy VII Remake, of course, had a trailer during the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct presentation. And then, of course, they also did a creator's voice, I think it's called, for the game today over on Nintendo's official YouTube channel. We got a bit of a deeper look into the game, mostly just kind of cutscenes and stuff like that, but there was some gameplay mixed in there as well. And of course, this is the Intergrade version, which only released on the PlayStation 5, has additional content such as being able to play as Yuffie. I actually never played the Intergrade version of the game. I played the remake, I beat it, I loved it, but I did not play the additional content in it. So this will be my first time playing it, because I do plan on picking it up on the Switch too. But amidst all of that, and amidst all the conversation that was being talked about with Final Fantasy VII Remake coming onto the Nintendo Switch, something very interesting slipped out during the interview process with the creator. They basically said, "I hope players are looking forward to the Final Fantasy VII Remake series on Nintendo Switch 2. And to me, that is pretty much a confirmation of what we have heard rumored as to what is happening with this. Essentially, Final Fantasy VII Remake comes out this year, Rebirth comes out next year, and then the next iteration may or may not be a timed Sony exclusive. You know, obviously, the Final Fantasy VII games haven't appeared on Xbox or anything like that, so there is sort of that question as to whether or not Sony does have some sort of contract in place with exclusivity. Of course, Square Enix said that they are shying away from console exclusivity with a lot of the mainline games coming up in the future because they want bigger profits and bigger revenue. So, you know, this could be something that was already written in stone, a contract that was already signed before something like that. But this is pretty much confirmation that all of the Final Fantasy VII games and all of their different portions will be coming to the Nintendo Switch 2. And once again, like, I just think that's a big win for the platform. I think that's a big win for the system. Like, I love playing Final Fantasy VII, the original vanilla version, on the Nintendo Switch, just because it feels so taboo. Like, if you weren't around in, like, you know, the late 90s for Final Fantasy going over to PlayStation, the launch of Final Fantasy VII and what that kind of did for RPGs, especially in the West, like, I don't think you necessarily quite get it. But even on their own terms, like, Remake is a great game. Rebirth is a really good game. I do like the additional combat stuff. Just so much padding in that game. Can I skip some of the padding, please? If I could buy a sword from a dealer, why can't I buy a bathing suit? Why do I have to do all this crap at the beach to get these tickets? It drove me nuts. But I think this is very exciting and bodes very well for the future of the Nintendo Switch 2 when it comes to bigger titles on other platforms such as the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X coming over to the Nintendo Switch 2, because, I mean, third-party stuff is important. You know, you want to have some third-party support. Not everyone, you know, a lot of people that buy Nintendo platforms only own a Nintendo platform. Just look at Twitter and all the weirdos on there. But that's what I got for you in terms of the video game stuff. Now, we're going to talk about the Knicks, because what did I say? What did I say yesterday? I put out a tweet saying, look, a lot of people are writing the Knicks off, and maybe rightfully so, but this is a series where the Knicks should be playing with no pressure. Everyone expects you to lose. Everyone expects you to not even show up for this. They expect you to potentially get swept or something like that. The Celtics are the, you know, defending champions and stuff like that. You should have no pressure. The pressure is on Boston, because Boston has the expectations to be the dominant force within this series. So if you get into a situation where you're down 20, who cares? You're supposed to be down 20. Play free, play loose, play and have fun. Play the game of basketball. Work on the fundamentals. Work on the X's and O's, and you never know what's going to happen. And what the hell happened last night? A 1-0 lead in the Temu Garden. This is nuts. This is nuts. But you gave Boston a haymaker. You came into their building, beat them on their own floor in overtime. All of the odds were against you, yet you somehow managed to do it. You only got to do it 3 more times. They've got to do it 4. Believe. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. Stepdad is doing all right. He has his physical therapy, intense physical therapy, starting this week. I think he will handle it just fine, but, you know, he's a strong dude. It's just tough, man. It's tough for him. But yeah, you know, he's still in good spirits. Everything should be good with that. Thank you for all your well wishes and stuff like that. And thank you for watching this video, especially if you watched to the very end. Hit subscribe if you're new. Hit the like button, dislike button, share the video. Don't share the video. Do something. Do a little bit of interaction. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.